Hello and welcome to the official guide for 95 months. My official entry into the GMTK Game Jam game making competition for 2026. To start you off on a solid footing, I will show you how to play this game. Yeah, I know it would have been better if there was an in-game tutorial, but I didn't have time to make this, so you are getting this video instead. And first things first, if you think the music is annoying, it's the national anthem of Ukraine playing when you start the game. You can go to settings and turn it off by clicking this button here a bunch of times. Now the music is off and now you can hear me for the guide, which is probably advantageous. Let's just start a new game and I will show you what the game is like. Okay, you probably won't get that message, but I did some test games, but yeah, I will start a new game. Okay, we get a little intro text explaining that we are the government of Ukraine and we have 95 months to prepare for the war. So the 95-month countdown starts now, and we will have to fix our country and build up a big stomping army and curb stomp the Russians. Now, you have a bunch of pages you can look at, and by the way, this is the game. This is the gameplay. The gameplay is literally looking at stats, clicking buttons, and watching those stats get modified, watching numbers go up or numbers go down. And well, there are 4 pages we can go to. Firstly, settings, you already saw that. Politics and economy, this is where we have all the stats of our nation here on the right. You can hover over them to get a thorough explanation of what each of these stats do. We also have the most important stats, the budget, the corruption, the oligarch influence and the public support here on the bottom bar. And we also have the current date and the countdown until the war starts. Apart from the stats, we have these decisions here. You can scroll your mouse wheel or click and drag this slider here to view all decisions. There are a lot of political decisions you can take. Some can only be taken a couple of times, others can be done as many times as you will like. We could, for instance, tax the rich. What's some of our numbers changed? If you bothered to read the text, you will know exactly what effect each decision has. And we can only do each decision once every month, and some decisions are only available a set number of times, and decisions are also only available if we have the resources to do it. If our oligarch support is too low to take a particular decision, we can't take that decision. But by the way, oligarch support is interesting because it scales with the corruption, or the required oligarch support scales with corruption, which is this very bad stat here you really want to get low. When corruption is 0, the oligarchs have no influence over your government and you can safely ignore them. The oligarchs, by the way, if you don't know, are a term for the very richest and most powerful business leaders in Ukraine, Russia and Belarus, who control most of the public utilities and are extremely politically influential and extremely corrupt. Now, one more thing to note on this screen is that some stats like corruption, oligarch support and public support have a baseline value. That means that slowly over time they will drift towards that baseline. So if you want to deal with corruption, you need to get the baseline preferably down to 0%, and watch corruption slowly tick down. Now let's have a look at some of the other pages. This one is what you are working towards. This is your military. This is how many tanks, how many pieces of artillery and how many bullets, yes, how many bullets your military owns in this amount column here. Here we see the production every month. We will look at that further when we move to the industrial policy screen. And here you see what you are up against. This is the Russian army strength in all the different categories, at least the Russian army at the onset of the invasion. This is what we want to beat. Now, once again, you can mouse over any of these stats and get an explanation of what they are, and some limitations. Like this thing, modern jets, has the limitation that we can't produce it locally, and this thing, 152mm artillery, has the limitation that we cannot import it, we can only produce it locally. Anyway, how do we get weapons? Well, one way is to buy them on the open market. We can click this buy equipment button, and for instance buy a whole bunch of bullets, or not a lot of tanks. This slider goes up to our entire budget. Let's buy one tank. It arrives in 6 months, and now we only have 80 million euros left. We can also produce equipment locally. We have a bunch of factories building stuff. All of our factories are currently operating. If we build a new factory, it would initially come out as under construction. Actually, let's quickly get the money to build a new factory. I know one of these decisions is an IMF loan, so let's take an IMF loan from the International Monetary Fund. Now we can click this build factory button. Yeah, it actually boosts our GDP growth, but not by very much. Now we get 2 factories which are under construction. And you'll note that our under construction factories, they default to producing bullets, but we can change that freely to literally anything. Anything we can produce at least. Yeah, let's produce drones. But they still start with the 0 production efficiency. Oh, and by the way, if you change something an existing factory is producing, it loses all its production efficiency. So that is one thing to keep in mind. Switching over production is generally not a good idea. This efficiency tells us how much value for money we are getting. You put this many euros in, you're getting this many euros worth of stuff out. This efficiency can go as high as 200%, and it increases naturally over time, but it is also limited by your corruption stat. So to get the full 200%, you gotta get corruption down to 0%, but you want to do that anyway. You also have the number of production lines currently running in each factory. You can scale up or scale down production freely. It just scales the units produced per month and the operating cost. So if you have too many factories with too many production lines, your income every month might actually go negative, which is a bad thing. But it's worth noting that production efficiency keeps increasing as long as you have more than 0 lines active, and it doesn't increase faster the more lines you have active. So a good strategy is just to have 1 production line active and have efficiency slowly tick up to maybe you decide how much you want production efficiency to take up, and then you can switch over to 8 lines or something in between. Well, that's basically it. The gameplay loop is you probably start on this screen here, look at your stats. After reading what all these stats do, look at your decision, see if there is something you would like to do. You do that by clicking on these decisions, reading this text, reading the effect, and either deciding to do it or not. And when you are satisfied with what you have done every month, you can click the next month button, and sometimes you'll get an event like this here. We get an event, we can choose between 2 options, and this option costs us a bit of money, but we gain public support and we gain a little bit of infantry equipment. Oh, I forgot to say that about infantry equipment. Infantry equipment determines how many infantry soldiers you can field in your army. So right now we can only field about 130,000 soldiers. We really want to get this number much higher, like in the low millions before the invasion starts. Anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say. Good luck clicking buttons and watching numbers go up. That's the entire gameplay loop until the number of months left reaches 0. In that case, you get to know how well you did, how well you beat those Russians. Anyway, I think that's it from me. Good luck and glory to Ukraine.